back. My name's Alison, the online piano and the online violin tutor. The performance that you just heard me play was Tubular Bells, the Exorcist theme by Mike Oldfield. This is a requested tutorial on that. As you can see, I've got the full score here in front of me that I'm just going to be going through for you. So I played it through once for you so you can hear what that's going to sound like, and what I'll do now is break it down into little sections to try and help you through each sort of part of it. There's kind of 3 or 4 parts to this, and there is a sort of tricky part when it gets to just towards the end before it all repeats again. I must just say, in the performance I didn't actually do the DSL coda, so that means go back to the beginning, play it all the way through again until you see almost like a little $ with a line and 2 dots, and then you would go to a coda, or actually I think you would see the coda mark, which is a circle with like a cross going through it. So you would play it all the way through once, then you would go back to the beginning, play through until you saw the coda, the circle with a cross through it, and then you would skip to the last bit of the end. I didn't do that, otherwise this video would just be mahoosive. So I've just done that, and then when I did actually get to the end, I did start to repeat it again, and then I faded myself out. So I did actually add in a little something special there, which I will show you what I added. So first thing I'm going to start with, the opening sequence. Now, anybody that wants to do this tutorial is probably already aware of how the tune goes. So it just repeats like that, really. It starts in 4/4, then it goes into 3/4. Don't panic about the 4/4 going into the 3/4 and then back into 4/4 section again. It just, by moving from 4/4 to 3/4, it gives it that syncopated feel that you get. Because you've gone from 4/4 to 3/4, when you get to the 3/4, you've cut off an extra beat in the bar that you would have had in 4/4, of course. So that gives it that kind of feel of maybe sort of you're missing out a beat in the bar, so it almost sounds wrong, but it sounds right, and hence it gives you the... So you're almost expecting a little bit more there, but it's not going to happen. So that's the rhythm of that. And that pretty much just, I think that goes through about twice before you start adding in the left hand. Now when the left hand comes in, it is just a repeat of the right hand. So it just does exactly what the right hand does. When you get a little bit further on, for me, the version I've got, when it gets to page 2, the left hand just... So it just does something like that. It's up to you if you want to ad lib on that. I get the feeling this might be a version that's been put into piano, so it's an arrangement. So I'm not sure if it's actually an original arrangement, because from hearing the actual score, from looking at the other videos on YouTube of the theme that actually came from the film itself, you've got lots of different instruments in there. So I get the feeling this is obviously a condensed arrangement for piano, because you don't have as many hands as there are instruments in the actual piece. So I honestly think it's just up to you if you want to ad lib a bit. I didn't stick strictly to the score when I did it, but I mean it still sounds okay as long as I'm playing the right notes at more or less the right time, so I keep the proper harmony and I'm not just playing anything random. Then I think that's absolutely fine to do that. So the next section that you get that might cause some difficulty, for me the version I've got is on page 3. Now it's where the left hand starts to play chords that move down. Now this is really easy, because once you get the first chord, everything should fall into place. Now above it on mine, I've got an 8VA and like a dash line. That means that you would find where you had to play. So for me, I've got a middle C, an A underneath it, and an E underneath that. My middle C is here, by the way. I'm not sure if you can see that on the camera, but it says 8VA. So what I'm going to do is just pick that up and play that 8 notes higher. 8VA is just 8 notes higher, or an octave higher. Same difference. You still read the notes, but you just stick your hand just an octave higher than you would. Once you've got that, then these chords are just going down in sequence, so everything goes down one note. So what I would advise, and what I did, is I found the first chord, I almost locked my hand into this position so you couldn't move it, and then you keep your hand in that locked position, and then you should be able to move the chord down. The only place that changes, I believe, is the penultimate one, where you do have to, when you get down to, you start with the C above middle C, or you start with your thumb on the C above middle C. You're moving all the way down until your thumb gets to the D, which is just above the next note up from middle C. And instead of your index finger or finger number 2 playing a B, you have to move it down to an A. That's the only one where the pattern changes. But I mean, all you'd have to do is just write the notes in, or circle that one, or remember to just slightly change your finger position there, and I don't think that would be a problem. So all the while that's going on, the right hand is going. The good old tune that we had at the beginning. That pretty much goes all the way throughout until we get to the end. I'm going to stick with the left hand since I'm talking about that. The next part in the left hand is now where I've got a lot of octaves, where I'm sort of stretching. So again with this, this is, well, actually no, they're not octaves, they're just slightly above octaves. I played octaves because my hands aren't that big. Rachmaninoff had massive hands, so he probably would have been able to do this, but unfortunately I can't. So I've got an A, an E, and a middle C. So I've got an A all the way down here, an E, and a middle C. Now I can just about stretch that, but there's no way that I could confidently move. I literally have to stretch my thumb. So there's two ways of doing this. If you want to stick rigidly to the music, then you would have to arpeggiate that chord. In other words, you would have to play it from bottom to top as quickly as you possibly could. Something like that. So you could do that if you wanted to do that. That doesn't matter, that's absolutely fine. If you can actually stretch that span, then that's great. That's, you know, lucky for you. But if you can't, you can do it that way by arpeggiating the notes. Or what I did was, instead of doing the A at the bottom, I took the top note and I made that into an octave, and I actually played the middle note. So for example, the top note here is middle C. The middle note was an E, and I made the bottom note a C. And then I kept the same position, then I just kept moving down. So this again is the same. So instead, it's the same as the other one, where you're moving, keep your hand position, lock it in, and just move everything down one note. So that's exactly what I did with that one. I got rid of the bottom note, I looked at the top note, made that into an octave, so played the octave underneath it, and played the middle note that it does suggest, locked my hand and just moved my hand down, and that was fine until I got to the next bit. In keeping with the left hand, when you get to the next bit, all you've got here is, so you've got a C sharp and a G sharp, and they're all just all quavers. You've got a chromatic bit going on in the right hand here until you get to the, octaves there. So you've got a little bit of a syncopated rhythm coming up when it goes to the, whatever the notes are there. It's up to you how you want to count that. It is quite difficult to count, but if you've got 4 beats in a bar, which you have here, you can break it down into quavers. So you'd have 4 crotchets in a bar, 4 crotchets that are worth 1 beat each, 4 quarter notes in a bar, and then you would have 8 eighth notes in a bar. So you've got an eighth note or a quaver, followed by a crotchet, followed by a tied quaver, followed by a crotchet, followed by a quaver. So you could count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and break it down that way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and just count it that way, and do that really slowly and keep counting. If you want to write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 above the notes, so you can look at the counting and you can 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so you can look at the counting and play at the same time. That would be a really good idea to do that as well. I'm going to go to the right hand now. So hopefully that helps you a bit with the left hand. So the right hand, the scariest part of the right hand comes for me, the copy that I've got on page 4. I will put a link to the copy of this sheet of music if you want to print out this version. I think this is a really good version actually, a really good arrangement. So I'll put a link to that if you guys want to download this, and then you'll know exactly what page I'm on. So I'm looking at page 4 now. And you've got some sort of scary octaves in the right hand going on here. Now it's the same thing. Get your first finger position for the first chord, lock the notes in, and everything's going to be happy days after that. So I've got an A, an E and an A. I'm just going to find that. I'm playing that with my thumb, my index finger or finger 2 and my little finger. So what you need to do is just follow the octave, I would say, the 2 notes. Either look at the bottom one or look at the top one, whichever is easiest for you, because it doesn't really matter about looking at the top or the bottom. So if you're looking at the bottom, then the little finger's going to be doing the same as the thumb if you've locked your hand in there. And just remember to lock that index finger in, and you will always get the middle note, and you won't have to worry about that. If putting in the middle note's too complicated for you, you can take that out. Because it is just sort of the similar tune that you've been doing. If that is too complicated, then just, or you could do it down an octave. So if you put that with the left hand, so you could just do that if you wanted to. It does sound better though if you can put it all in. Now on to page 5, you've got a chromatic section where you've got a G sharp, a D sharp and a G. And everything's going down 1 chromatically. So by chromatic we mean white, black, white, black, white, white, black, white, black. So you're playing all of the notes in order that they come on the piano. So everything is just moving in chromatic. And again, lock in that finger 2, lock in your fingers, and it all should work out. If you want to miss out the middle note, do that, and you can just do the octaves, or just the top note, or just the bottom note, whatever's easier for you. If you can put it all together, that would sound much better. Okay. So I've already gone through the left hand part there. You've got a few triplets on the bottom line of page 5. So you're just trying to crush in an extra note in each one of them, because technically there are too many beats in the bar now. So you just want a feeling of sort of hurriedness there. Okay, so just try and put those notes in, but don't try and exceed the bar. So you don't want to have too many. So that would not be a good rhythm to do. 1, 2, or actually 1, 2, 3, 4. So you're just trying to crush in an extra note or play those 3 notes in 1 beat's worth. The next bit of that as well for the right hand, you've got, so this is probably the trickiest bit, I would say, these 2 bars. Lock your fingers. I would suggest if you can't do all of these chords, just do the, just do the octaves for that, and maybe just put in 1 of those notes in the middle. If you can get them all in, that would actually be great. Now the first chord in the bar is an E major chord, E, G sharp, B and E. That makes up an E major chord. The next chord in that bar is actually just an inversion. It's what we call the first inversion of that, because you're inverting it once. So we would then start with the G sharp, B, E, and have the G sharp at the top. So I'm playing exactly the same notes. I'm just swapping the E at the bottom. I'm just taking the E at the bottom away and making the middle note of the first chord, E, G sharp, and that's going to be my top note now. So it's exactly the same chord, but it's just a different inversion. Now the next chord is going down chromatically, so every single note goes down chromatically. So if you've got an E, a G sharp, a B and an E for that first chord, then your thumb is going to an E flat, your second finger is going to a G, third finger is going to a B flat, and your little finger is going to an E flat. And the next chord is an inversion of that as well. So it's much easier if you can find the patterns and look at that on the piano. Write the notes in, miss some of the notes out of the middle if you want to, and just do it in octaves. That would be absolutely fine. The next section of that, the last page, page 6, I've just got an octave C sharp playing in my left hand and in my right hand. So I've just got some syncopation there. So what I would do, would be really helpful, is to maybe put some lines through the notes so that you know when they're coming together and when they're not. So the first ones come together, the second ones do when I have a D sharp, but then I have a left hand on its own, and then they come together again, a left hand on its own, and then they come together. So you could put lines through the music to help you physically see when the hands are playing together and when they're not playing together. Then in the left hand, it's happy days from there on, because you've just got some octaves going on in the left hand. That takes us to the end of the music. Then, as I said before, DS al coda. DS is dal segno, al coda, so you'd go back to the little sign, the little S with the line through it and the 2 dots, which is actually at the beginning, and you would play that through until the coda, the circle with the cross through it, and then you would skip to the coda, which is the very last line on here. Now I didn't play that all the way through, because then the video would just be so long. But when I went back and repeated it again, if you noticed, I did something different. Instead of just, I put some octaves with it. So I was just moving down from, I started at A, G, F, went down to E, then I went back up to A again. So you've got a bit of an awkward rhythm in the right hand anyway. And then you've got to try and put the left hand with it. Now what I would suggest you do is that you're going to have to almost split your brain in half. Half your brain is going to be concentrating on the right hand, the other half is concentrating on the left. Now what you need to do in the left is just make sure that it's pretty much metronome perfect, so it just keeps moving like this. And then you join in with the left hand, so you need to be really secure with the rhythm in the right hand before you start fitting it in with the left hand. So if I did that a little bit slower. So you've got a lot of syncopation coming around sort of bars, pages 5 and 6 anyway, so if you can get the hang of that syncopation, that will help you add that in. You don't have to add that in for the second section, but when I was actually listening to some of the recordings of the original from the film on YouTube actually, I could almost hear, it was like a piano sound. So that's where I got the octaves from in the left hand, because I wanted to try and simulate that and make that sound okay. So I can't think of anything else that that you might need to know about this. I've pretty much broken this down as much as I can. I would just say just try and pick it up. It says steadily, so you don't want to play it too fast. It's not that fast. So you you play it at the speed that you're comfortable playing at. Just remember to, once you've found the first chord, when you get to those chordal sections, find the first one, lock your hand, do not move anything, and then when you're moving each one by, if you're moving your left hand down stepwise, each note going down on the piano, then you shouldn't have to even bother looking at your left hand if you lock them in enough. You can just sort of make sure that you're only moving one note and you're not moving two notes or anything like that. So I really hope that helps you guys. Please leave some comments in the comment bar underneath, and I'll see if I can try and get back to you and help you. But yeah, that's my tutorial on Tubular Bells, theme from The Exorcist.